The Championship just is the most unpredictable league in the world, isn't it? And this weekend did not disappoint. Let's talk about it. So guys, welcome back to another video on the channel and welcome back to the Championship Roundup. So in today's video we're going to be rounding up all the games that went on over the course of the weekend, and we're also going to be giving our score predictions for what we see happening in the midweek fixtures that we got going on. So do get your score predictions in the comments down below for what you see happening in those games, and leave a comment with what you made of your team's performance. We've got a lot of talking points to go over today. We saw some absolute worldies being scored in this weekend's games. But just before we do hop into anything, a big shout out to you guys who did get a score prediction correct this weekend. As we can see on screen now, the two scorelines which were most predicted by you guys were Middlesbrough against Forest and Wycombe against Sheffield Wednesday. Big shout out goes to Copty Joe for being the only person to correctly predict the Barnsley against Watford game, and also to Logan Spavin who correctly got the QPR against Cardiff game right. Fair play to you guys. And then if we quickly have a look at the prediction league as well, as we will see, we do still have the same leader at the top. However, I have managed to jump up to third in the prediction league, so I'm coming for that #1 place. Without any further ado though, let's get into talking about these games. So starting out with Friday night's game, which saw Coventry beating Reading by 3-2. This is why we love the Championship. It's just so unpredictable. Coming into this game, Coventry really weren't in a great run of momentum, and although some of their performances had shown signs of promise, they hadn't been getting points on the board. That was flipped around on Friday though. Reading, I didn't actually think were particularly that bad. In the first half they had a couple of moments, but Coventry capitalised on their chance. Gustavo Hamer with a lovely side-footed finish. In the second half though, Reading did get back into it. It was a lovely goal from Lucas João. Holds off a couple of defenders really well, then unleashes it with his left foot to get it into the bottom corner. Coventry at one point, it looked like it wouldn't be their night. They had a gilt-edged chance hit against the crossbar, but soon after scored 2 goals. Matty Godwin with the first, and then Sam McCallum with an absolute thumping goal to make it 3 for Coventry. Raphael should do better with that one. He does sort of get behind it and it just goes through him, but with the season that he's had, I'm sure Reading fans will give him a pass for that one. And then Puskas gets the goal late on. Listen, for Reading, this unbeaten run was always going to come to an end sooner rather than later, and to be honest, like I said, I didn't think their performance was actually that bad in this one. Coventry just took their chances. For Coventry though, that's a massive result which does take them out of the bottom 3, and Reading's next game is up against Preston North End. After that we then had Norwich beating Bristol City by 3-1. Now I think that this was the Norwich that we were all expecting to see in the Championship this season. There was some scintillating football moving forward. Teemu Pukki back in the goals, he got a brace in this one, and then Emi Buendia with an absolutely exquisite finish as well. The touch for his goal was something else, but what I want to focus on with Norwich and going forward was the assist to the goals in this one, because there was some brilliant build-up play. Bristol City seems to struggle a little bit with midfield in terms of closing Norwich City down in these dangerous areas, but Norwich did a really good job of making the pitch big. I mean, the Marcus Stiepermann pass for the first Teemu Pukki goal, it was like a knife through butter. Bristol City had 8 players behind the ball in this instance, but it was a really quality pick out, and then Pukki showed his confidence to finish. The second one as well, Sorensen with a brilliant ball up to Teemu Pukki. That time around, Bristol City I think were a little bit suspect, allowing Pukki with that much space to run in behind. And then the Emi Buendia goal as well, what a finish this was. The touch, I think we just got to appreciate that we're going to see Buendia in the Championship for another season. I don't think anyone expected it, but real moment of quality there. Listen though, Bristol City did have their chances of quality going forward. Obviously Hunt got on the score sheet for them in the first half. Second half they also asked some questions of Tim Krul as well. Chris Martin had that effort which crashed off the post, and it could have been a different game had Nahki Wells converted that penalty. If looking into his penalty record, actually it's really not anything special, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him being taken off penalties for Bristol City from now on. But it wasn't their day, and Norwich just showed their class going forward. This is what we want to see moving forward from them. Next up then we have Barnsley beating Watford by 1-0. It was an Alex Moore wonder strike which won this one for the home side from about 25 yards out. We've all praised Ben Foster for how good he's been for Watford so far this season, but he stood no chance of getting anywhere near this one. Alex Moore always is a player who's got that sort of worldie in his locker, isn't he? But in terms of Watford going forward, I'm not sure how they didn't score in this one. I think they didn't even have a shot on target in the end for this one, but they got into some brilliant goal scoring areas, but nothing seemed to be clicking for them. Watford fans, I'd love to know from you guys, what do you think it is that's just not quite happening for you going forward at the moment? Because given the personnel you've got in that squad, goals should be the least of your worries, but so far this season, in 9 games, you've only scored 8 goals. We did mention it on the preview as well. While they're averaging, you know, just about 1 goal a match, they can't be affording to concede any goals. So when a wonder strike happens like this from Alex Mowat, they're always going to struggle. So something does need to be tinkered in terms of the formula for Watford going forward, but what a brilliant 3 points for Barnsley, and what a goal it was from Alex Mowat. After that, we have Bournemouth against Derby playing out a 1-1 draw. Maybe a bit of a frustrating one for Derby. That's now their 3rd game in a row where they've tried to hold out for that 1-0, but the opposition's got back into it. But Bournemouth now the only unbeaten side in the Championship since Reading lost this weekend, so a point away for Derby isn't the worst result in the world. It was another goal which was a result of a free kick as well, this time not directly from the free kick, but Graham Shinney following it in, stabbing home into the top corner. Really nice finish, and then from that point onwards, especially heading into the second half, it was Bournemouth who were very much taking the game to Derby. David Marshall popped up with some fantastic saves, and I have to say, for the majority of this game, Derby looked like they defended really well. They limited Bournemouth where they could. They just switched off a little bit for Kelme's goal, but he took it really well. He sort of ghosted in off the far post and finished well. You know, if it was any side that was going to go on and win it in that second half, it probably would have been Bournemouth, but by no means a bad result for Derby. This one, they'll just be, like I say, a little bit frustrated that they've thrown these 3 1-goal leads away. Then we have Brentford beating Luton by 3-0. This was an efficient Brentford performance. They could have even had more goals, I'm not going to lie. Luton probably can't have too many complaints about this one. They were just beaten by the better side. Once again, some lovely interplay moving forward. Rico Henry grabbing the first goal of this match. Sluga almost gets down to it, but he just hits it with too much power. The second goal really well worked. It's a lovely ball over the top from Sergi Canos, and Bimo latches onto it and then drags the ball across the box for Ivan Toney's 9th goal of the season now. He's leading the way in the Championship, 4 goals. But speaking of goals, Force as well. What an impact sub he's been for Brentford so far this season. If we look at his league minutes, he's currently averaging a goal in the Championship every 28 minutes, which is absolutely ridiculous. But like I say, Brentford could have had even more goals in this one. A few times so far this season, it has felt as if Brentford have taken 1 step forward and 2 steps back. So their next 2 games up against Swansea and Middlesbrough will be an interesting test to see where this Brentford side are at the moment. Next up then to Borough, who saw off Nottingham Forest by 1-0. It's been some start to the season for Borough, who have now climbed up to 5th in the table. Now, even with them not scoring the most amount of goals, they keep things so tight at the back that they give themselves an opportunity in every single game they play. They've only now conceded 1 goal in their last 5 matches. Another clean sheet for them in this game, and it was a match of quite a few clear-cut chances, but when that moment came around for Borough, they certainly took the chance. It was a great goal in the end. George Saville from the right-hand side curls a brilliant ball into the far post with his left foot, and then Marvin Johnson gets on the end of it, thumps it in to make it 1-0 to Borough, and that's all they need to win matches at the moment. For Forest though, it's just not clicking for them at the moment. Their next 2 matches are both at home against Coventry and Wycombe. Surely they're going to see some points returning from those. And then we had Huddersfield beating Millwall by 3-0. Who saw this one coming? Now, we have mentioned a little bit with Huddersfield recently that probably the performances that they've been putting in haven't always been getting their deserved results, but this time round, fantastic. Not many teams are going to put 3 goals past Millwall, especially at the Den this season. It was Josh Koroma with the opening goal in this one. I know that a lot of Huddersfield fans have quite high hopes for him this season, and we have seen some real flashes from him so far this season. But Millwall, after they had started to grow into the game a little bit, Huddersfield just hit them with 2 sucker punches towards the end of this game. The Pippa goal, Bilkowski makes a bit of a meal out of this one, tries to sort of tip it over the bar, it ends up looping back in. When I first saw it, I did think that he managed to keep it out, but obviously goal line technology gives the goal, and Millwall are 2 behind, and then the Lewis O'Brien goal to wrap things up in the 93rd minute. A great example of counter-attacking play, you know. I am a little bit surprised to see how well Huddersfield have actually taken to this new style of football. I thought this would be a transition which would take a lot longer, and although there are still a couple of things to iron out with their performances, Huddersfield, I've got to say I've been really impressed with them so far. Then we have Birmingham beating North End by 2-1. Preston's poor start to the season at home continues in this one. Still the only side in the Championship yet to pick up any points at home so far this season, and it was an awful start for North End. I mean, the goal, there were so many mistakes in the build up to this one. Jordan Story far too weak, being muscled off the ball. Declan Rudd got caught out in no man's land, and Patrick Bauer gets completely dragged into the ball. There was a great bit of improvisation from Lukas Djukovic though with the acrobatical assist, and then McGree finishes it to make it 1-0 to Birmingham in the opening stages. Preston get back into it with an absolute worldie. Now, we did create more chances in this game, but Neil Etheridge, to get past him, it was always going to take something special, and it was just that from Jaden Stockley. A ridiculous volley. He chests it down and picks out the top corner. Goalkeeper stood no chance. I never knew he had that in his locker. Alex Neil did change the formula a little bit for this one. He went with Paul Gallagher and Daniel Johnson as sort of a midfield 2 for this one, which did give us a little bit more creativity going forward. Like I say, we did create more chances for this one, but it also left us exposed at the back a little bit in terms of runners being able to get in behind and at us from Birmingham. The goal which went on to win it for Blues was a poor one once again. Jordan Story losing his man. It was Gary Gardner, I think, with his first touch of the game in this one. We did have a couple of other chances, you know. Tom Barkhuizen had a great chance which was well saved by Neil Etheridge. He had another one towards the end of the game as well. Thankfully, we've got a couple of away matches coming up now because that seems like the only way we can pick up points at the moment. And then we saw QPR getting back to winning ways as they saw off Cardiff by 3-2. This is the QPR that we've become accustomed to over the last couple of seasons. Free scoring going forward and then giving away silly goals at the back. But what a first half this was from QPR. It was Chair who was absolutely pulling all the strings to them. He scored the opening goal after a nice cutback from Adoma. Took it really well, actually. Quite an acrobatical finish. But the assist he got for the second goal, some great skills out on that left wing. Rinses his way past a couple of Cardiff players and then delivers it into the box. Kane gets on the end of it, makes it 2-0 to QPR. And they're looking comfortable at half time. But oh my god, did they almost implode in the second half. QPR have now given away 5 penalties in their last 4 matches. I mean, that is inexcusable. The second one is saved, but then the rebounds followed in, so it's 2-2 heading into the final stages of this one. It's looking like QPR have thrown away 2 points. However, Don Ball comes up with an absolute worldie of a strike to go on and win it. Not something that we're really accustomed to seeing from Don Ball. He's that sort of combative ball-winning midfielder, but what a strike this was to win it for QPR. And after they almost threw it all away in the second half, Don Ball comes out with that outrageous strike and they do get back to winning ways. So more positive signs from them going forward. Like I say, Chair was like a real live wire for this one. But defensive issues are a real problem for them. For Cardiff now, that's now 4 games without a win. Stoke against Rotherham, definitely not the game of the weekend. It was one where there was limited quality for both sides going forward, seemingly. There was no lack of effort, but I think with the quick turnaround of matches that we've seen in the Championship recently, this will become more and more common, I think. And it was one of the few clear-cut chances in this game which went on to win the game for Stoke. I think Angus Gunn actually credited with the assist for this one. Rotherham would have been disappointed with the way they were caught out for this one. It was a long ball which bounced over their defence in the end, and James McLean latched onto it. Actually a nice finish, lobbed it over Blackburn in net. But like I say, other than that, there really was limited goal action for this one. But nonetheless, a good way for Stoke to bounce back after that pretty shoddy performance at the weekend. That now sees them lifted up to 8th in the table. And then we had Swansea beating Blackburn by 2-0. Swansea happily sitting in 2nd in the Championship at the moment. And I think that with the way that the league's shaping up this season, there's no reason why a side like Swansea can't really string a good group of results together and really push for promotion this year. I think they're looking quite strong. Blackburn, on the other hand, undone by defensive mistakes once again. It was a similar occurrence against Reading. They had their moments going forward in the second half, but Freddie Woolman was on top form for Swansea. The goals they gave away, though, quite cheap, similar to the ones last time. The first one coming from a corner, Ben Cabango converting from a Connor Roberts cross. It was weak from Darrell Lenihan, and I don't know what's happened to him, but his form lately seemed to have fallen off a cliff. I thought that he was quite poor for the second goal as well. Another goal, by the way, for Andre Ayew. Continues to deliver the goods for Swansea this season after a nice ball in from Jan Dander. Blackburn still remain the top scoring side in the league this far into this season, but while they're defending like this, they'll continue to drop points. And then to round things off, we had Wycombe picking up their first 3 points of the season, beating Sheffield Wednesday in what could be quite the damning result for them come the end of the season by 1-0. Now this has been a week to forget for Wednesday. 3 matches, 3 losses, 0 goals scored. It was more of the same in this one, and I think a lot of people were fancying Wycombe for this one. Given what the home side had showed in midweek against Watford, we knew the sort of pressure that they put that Wednesday back line under, especially in those set-piece situations, and that's exactly how they scored. On the stroke of half-time, it was Joe Jacobson who whipped one into the near post. Wheeler had made the run in there, and that was the difference between the two sides in this one. And I've got to say, Wycombe could have had even more goals. You know, one of the few positives from a Sheffield Wednesday perspective was how well Joe Wildsmith played with some of the saves that he had to pull off in this one. The result leaves Sheffield Wednesday 10 points from safety. Sheffield Wednesday fans, what do you think about Gary Monk? You'd have to think he's walking the fine line at the moment. I'd love to get your guys' view on this down below, but a great win for Wycombe. But guys, there were all the results that went on this weekend. In terms of my result of the weekend, I'm going to give it that to Huddersfield for seeing off Millwall by 3-0 away from home. Really impressive stuff. Then for my goal of the weekend, we've got a lot of contenders for this one. I'm going to give it to Jayden Stockley for that wonder goal he scored against Birmingham. Ultimately, it meant nothing in the game, but the technique for that volley was something else. So do get your thoughts in the comments down below, and do also leave what you made of your team's performance down there as well. Now, without any further ado, let's hop into these midweek predictions. Starting out with Brentford against Swansea. This will be a good one to gauge where each side is at the moment. Brentford Brentford free scoring last time round, but Swansea with an impressive result against Blackburn. Going to go with a 1-1 draw in that game. I don't think there'll be all too much in it between the two sides. Swansea away from home do set up quite compact. Huddersfield against Bristol City, very much the form book seemed to have flipped for Bristol City, who can't buy a win at the moment, and Huddersfield have been looking really good at the weekend against Millwall, and I'm going to back them for another win in this one, beating Bristol City by 2-1. Norwich up against Millwall. Now Norwich looked back to their best at the weekend. It was some fluid football moving forward, and they're up against the Millwall defence, which looked a little bit leaky against Huddersfield last time round. Going to back Norwich for another 3 points in that one, 2-1 to the home side. Sheff Wednesday against Bournemouth, another big game in Wednesday's season, but with the way they're playing at the moment, the way their home form's looking at the moment, I can't see anything past a Bournemouth win. I'm going to go 2-0 to the away side. Blackburn against Middlesbrough is a very interesting one. It's a game where Blackburn could come unstuck moving forward. We mentioned before how impressive Middlesbrough's defensive record has been, and with how suspect Blackburn are from defending crosses coming into the box, Middlesbrough could have a field day with a couple of those. I'm going to go 1-0 Borough in that game. Cardiff up against Barnsley. Tough one to predict, but Barnsley have started out really well under their new manager. It was a brilliant result to see off Watford. Alex Moat with a screamer in that one. And do you know what? I'm going to fancy them for another one in this game. Cardiff have looked a little bit susceptible lately. I'm going to go 2-1 Barnsley. Reading against Preston is going to be a very interesting one on Wednesday to see how Reading bounce back from their first defeat of the season. Preston so far, though, have been very good away from home, but our record against Reading's really shoddy. I think I'm going to go 2-1 Reading in that game. I'm hoping I'm proven wrong, but our defence at the moment is looking so leaky, and with how clinical Reading can be moving forward, I just think they'll score a couple of goals. Watford against Stoke, going to go for a 1-1 draw in that one. Each side has been a little bit clunky going forward at times. I could just see those two sides cancelling each other out. Birmingham against Wycombe. Wycombe have been much improved recently, but Birmingham got a good win last time around. They seem to be on the up. I'm going to go 1-0 Birmingham in that game, although I don't see all too much being in it. Derby versus QPR, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Derby, their performances are improving, but they're just not quite doing enough to win matches at the moment. QPR seem to get their goal scoring touch back, but still look a little bit susceptible defensively. Wouldn't be surprised if they gave away another penalty in that one. Another game which you can see heading towards a draw is Forest up against Coventry. The formula doesn't seem to be right there at Forest at the moment. The balance in that squad, I'm going to go 1-1 in that game. And then to finish things off, we have Rotherham going up against Luton. This one on a bit of a knife edge. We don't really know which Luton side's going to turn up because they've been so hit and miss throughout the season so far. Rotherham, I think, will make it difficult for them though, and if they don't give away a silly goal, I'm going to back Rotherham for that game. I'm going to go 1-0 to the home side. So as you can see to the side of me, those are my score predictions for what I see happening in the midweek games. Make sure to leave yours in the comments down below for a chance to be involved in the next video and get yourselves onto that prediction league. But guys, there you have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. So thanks very much for tuning in. Make sure to leave a like on today's video if you went on to enjoy, and please do subscribe for a bit of regular championship content. So do get all your thoughts in the comments down below. But apart from that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.